Why do sim racers wear gloves? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about a very common question that I receive on my streams, on my videos, on my TikToks, everywhere, about why we actually wear gloves. I will be talking about the benefits of wearing them, whether they actually help, and if they're actually a necessity. How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be addressing a very common question that I've received all over social media about why sim racers actually wear gloves. Now, there are a good few reasons why sim racers like myself do wear gloves, and I promise it's not because we want to be like real life racers. I mean, we do, but that's not the reason why we wear the gloves. So without further ado, let's get into the reasons. And the first reason is all about wheel protection and improved durability. So this is one of my older wheels, and as you can tell on the sides, this uses a material called Alcantara. Now, Alcantara is a synthetic textile which is made of a mix of polyester and polyurethane. The texture of the Alcantara, I don't know if you can really see it too well, but it's very soft. It's a very, very soft material. And it actually offers quite a lot of grip. Now, when you're racing, you're doing a lot of physical activity. And all that physical activity is going through your hands, your arms, your shoulders. It can ache after a while, especially if you're running a higher force feedback as well. And you've got to consider all the mental focus that you're doing at the same time as well. Now, obviously, doing all this activity actually increases your body temperature. And eventually, after, I don't know, depends how high running your feedback really, but out 10 to 15 minutes, you'll probably notice that you start to sweat, you start getting very warm. And you'll notice as you get towards the end of your session, your palms on the hand are very, very sweaty. Now, all of that sweat from your hand is all going onto the Alcantara of your steering wheel. And companies like Fanatec do use Alcantara a lot in their products. Eventually, all that sweat that comes from your hands and all the other oils that come from your hands as well, they will eventually get into the Alcantara and actually can start causing some damage to them eventually. Now, Alcantara is typically a very durable material, but eventually it does start to show signs of wear and tear, and eventually you'll even get things like dead skin start to appear on your wheel, and trust me, it's not a pretty sight. Now, wearing gloves, of course, as you'd expect, does actually protect your wheel from the oils and all the skin from your hand and stuff like that, so you actually prolong the durability of your wheel by wearing gloves. So if you want preservation in your wheel, especially if you're using an Alcantara wheel like this one here, I'd heavily recommend getting yourself a pair of sim racing gloves. Now, staying on the theme of protection, the second reason for wearing gloves is to actually protect your hands as well as your steering wheel. If, like me, you typically race at a higher level of force feedback, I typically play around 7.5 newton meters of torque, and I've got a 9 newton meter wheelbase. So 7.5 newton meters out of 9 is, running the wheelbase pretty damn high. So running at those high numbers is putting a lot more power through your wheelbase, and that goes through to your wheel, and then, of course, you'll transfer all of that onto your hands. You're getting a really good, strong feel on the wheel. Of course, running at a higher force feedback obviously improves the response, improves the feedback of your wheel, but most importantly is it actually starts to cause damage to your hands after a while because there's so much torque going through the wheel. Naturally, we do tend to grip the wheel pretty tight when we're racing as well, and a lot of our focus is put on the screen, so don't really notice how tight we are holding the steering wheel. But we obviously do it to ensure that we have full control of the car, right? But eventually, over time, doing this will actually start to cause a lot of damage to your hands. That damage can go from blistering, callus, and you can even get bruises sometimes in your hands, and it gets very painful and quite uncomfortable as well, as you'd expect. And of course, over time, you'll start to notice that your skin gets quite hard as well, especially underneath your fingers here. So wearing gloves actually offers protection to your hands to make sure that you don't get too much damage to them. You can still get like a little bit of harder skin sometimes wearing gloves, but nowhere near as much as you would if you weren't wearing gloves, that's for sure. The third reason is grip. So these are the gloves that I use when I'm sim racing. These are called the, let me show you guys here, the 3M Sim 21s. So the 3M Sim 21s are the gloves that I use, and I found that I've got a lot of nice comfortability and general grip from the gloves too. They're also breathable too. They have some holes in the back, which allows some good air to pass through the glove, and keeps your hands actually a little bit cooler as well when you're racing, so they don't get too sweaty. But wearing gloves, of course, will actually help in keeping grips with the wheel. If I go back to the earlier point of me saying that your hands will get a little bit sweaty, you'll also begin to start losing grip with the wheel as you begin to sweat more. Your hands will get a little bit more slippery on the wheel, and eventually you'll notice your hands start to slide off the wheel a little bit, and you have to make an adjustment or a minor adjustment to get your hand back into position. You'll typically notice that sort of thing happening when you're going through a longer, more durable type corner. Wearing gloves will help you keep a nice sturdy grip on the wheel, and you won't have too much trouble going through those long right-handers, the long left-handers, and you'll be able to keep a full grip on the wheel without having to make too many adjustments. And that way, you keep full concentration on the track as well. Another reason is just general comfortability. A lot of sim racers, including myself, feel a lot more comfortable when they're wearing gloves when they're sim racing. Wearing gloves will obviously massively help reduce the fatigue in your hands too, so you can actually go even longer. So you can do those endurance races, you can do those 100% races on F1 if you want to as well, and you'll feel a lot better after doing it wearing gloves. And a lot of brands who do make gloves often make them very well padded on the inside, so you do get a lot of protection and you do get a lot more comfortability when you're sim racing. And of course, the final reason, as a famous Jimmy Broadbent once said, virginity protection. So with all those reasons in mind, I hope you can kind of see why we wear gloves and the benefits of wearing gloves. Obviously, it's not really a necessity to have to wear gloves. No one actually says you have to, but a lot of wheel providers such as Fanatec, such as Moza, do actually advise that you wear gloves with their product, especially with Alcantara, because as I was saying earlier, you can get a lot of staining, you can get a lot of wear and tear on the Alcantara wheels, so wearing gloves helps with protecting that wheel, and of course, getting the grip on the wheel too. Of course, saying that, a lot of people do prefer racing without gloves, and that is also perfectly fine. That's not a necessity, like I was saying. It is simply a recommendation. And of course, it's a very common sight to be seeing a lot of sim racers wearing gloves too. And I do personally believe that there is a lot of benefit from wearing the gloves. So if you have any further questions or you want to add to one of my points maybe, make sure to leave your feedback down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video and feel like you learned a lot from this video, even if it was just a short video, make sure to leave a like on this video too. And of course, if you want to stay tuned for more future content, make sure to hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you very much for watching this short video. I hope you guys always learned a lesson about why most of us wear gloves, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.